Good evening. So last week was an interesting video that was going around of IDF soldier smashing a statue, a monument of Yoshke. And it spread all over. He himself filmed himself, and he was very proud to do such a thing. It was in Lebanon. They went into Lebanon, a Christian village, and he was smashing it and filming it and sending it. It went viral, and of course it caused a lot of harm to our reputation, which is already they're trying to tint us as those that are misleading or mistreating the Christians in Israel, and it's a new initiative that Jews are mistreating Christians in the Holy Land, and this only added salt to the wound. So it's wrong on many levels, and I'm not going to speak about that. We just want to speak about the halachic aspect, but of course doing such a thing is harmful. It's wrong on every level. We'll see today why is it wrong also halachically. So where would be the psukim in the Torah that would speak about smashing idols? Let's see. One is in Parashat Ki Tisa. The pasuk says the following. You should break. Let's read the pasuk first in Lashon HaKodesh. It says like this. Ki et mizbechotam titotzun. You should break apart their altars. Et matzevotam teshaberu. Smash their pillars. Et asherav tichrotun. You should cut their trees. Ki lo tishtachave le'el acher. Another pasuk is in Parashat Vayetchanan. Same idea. The Torah again speaks about smashing and cutting and destroying the Avodah Zarah. The pasuk says the following. Ki im ko ta'asu lahem mizbechotehem titotzu. You should break their mizbeach, their altars. Matzevotam teshaberu. Also, you should break down the matzeva, their pillars. Ashrehem tegadeun. Again, the trees you should cut. Psilehem tisrefun ba'esh. Their images you should burn in a fire. So you see from here that that's the way you should treat Avodah Zarah. Avodah Zarah that you find, you should break and you should burn. And really, this is how the Rambam and the Shulchan Aruch posek in Halacha. It says in the Rambam, in Perek Zayin, Me'alchot Avodah Zarah, Mitzvah taseh le'abed Avodah Zarah. You should destroy Avodah Zarah. Not only the Avodah Zarah, meshamshea v'chol ha'na'aseh b'shvila. Even if there is something that they use to sacrifice for the Avodah Zarah, to beautify the Avodah Zarah, whatever is made for it, also you have to destroy. Shene'emar abet ta'avdun et kol ha'mekomot. Ve'ne'emar, says the Rambam, ki im ko ta'asu lahem mizbechotem titotzu. Just like we saw all the psukim over here. Adds the Rambam, בחוץ לארץ אין אנו מצווים לרדוף אחריה. That's only in Eretz Israel. But in חוץ לארץ, you're not supposed to chase it. You're not supposed to go and start breaking and destroying Avodah Zarah. That's wrong. Otherwise, you'll be seeing people going around every place that there's Avodah Zarah, smashing it, destroying it. And we don't do that. Why? Because the Rambam says this halacha is not in chutz laaretz, unless it's in your house. You own it. You own Avodah Zarah. A person that, let's say, was mitgayer and he has Avodah Zarah. A person that inherited from his father. His father was Oved Avodah Zarah. He inherited Avodah Zarah. He's supposed to break it. But otherwise, it's not yours. You're not responsible. The Shulchan Aruch also says in Siman Kuf Mem Vav Sif Yudaled, mitzvah al kol hamotzeh elilim. If you find Avodah Zarah, you should destroy it, you should burn it. Ketzad meva'ara. How is it that you destroy it? Shochek v'zoreh laruach. You smash it until it becomes like dust, and you blow it to the wind, or matil hayam, or throw it into the ocean. But again, we're saying that this halacha is only if you find in your land, or in your house, and it belongs to you. But if that doesn't belong to you, you just go to a different land, you go into Lebanon, and it's not yours. You're not supposed to do what was done. So that's a very, very important point to remember, that we can't go around smashing and destroying, even though it's Avodah Zarah. But what we're speaking about over here is not Avodah Zarah at all. Why not? Because a statue of Yoshke is not Avodah Zarah unless it was worshipped. How do you worship something in order for it to become Avodah Zarah? There's 4 different Avodot that you do in order for something to be to get to the statue of Avodah Zarah. What is it? Whether you bring a korban for it, or you menasech yain towards it, you ma'aleh ketoret for it, or you bow down to it. You have to bow down to it. Or if there's a special avodah that's made for that Avodah Zarah, like in the Avodot Zarot that the Torah speaks about, that they used to worship in the special way to worship that Avodah Zarah. But if it's not that, like Peor would be Avodah Zarah, that a person would go to the bathroom in front of the Avodah Zarah. That would be the special way to worship that Avodah Zarah. Otherwise, it needs to be those 4 ways of Avodah. So, unless people bow down to it, unless they mishtachaveh, it's not a Avodah Zarah. And therefore, the Rama says in Siman Kuf Mem Aleph that a person that finds a shtiva erev, he finds a cross, he says that you should know that unless it was worshipped, it's not Avodah Zarah. The censor took out cross. The censor says, if you open the Shulchan Aruch today, you'll find that it says, Tzura shemishtachavim lo dino kedin tzelem. Only some idol, something, a shape, it means tzura is a shape, which means you have over here some kind of pesel or tmuna or something like that, that one bows down to it. If you know they bow down to it, it has a din of Avodah Zarah. But if not, it doesn't have a din of Avodah Zarah. The original way of reading the Rema before it was censored, it was Tzurat Shtiva Erev, Yesh Lo Din Avodah Zarah Mamash. When is that? When is it Din Avodah Zarah? When people indeed worship it. So normally, something that was not worshipped doesn't have a Din Avodah Zarah. It's only symbolic. Such a thing would not be considered Avodah Zarah. Therefore, one that finds a cross, it doesn't have a din of Avodah Zarah unless it was worshipped. Or for instance, a person that sells crosses in his jewelry store, should you sell it? It's a big question, because it's wrong to sell such things. But halachically, the core halacha, meikar adin, there's no isur. Chacham Avodah speaks about this in Yechavedat, in Yabia Omer. He has tshuvot about this, and he points out this Rema, and there is a machloket achronim of how to view such a cross, because a cross, you don't know. You find a cross, so you find a different Avodah Zarah, and you don't know if it was worshipped. People bow down to it or no? You don't know. So how do you suppose to treat such a thing? The Shach says that automatically, by default, you treat it as Avodah Zarah because you assume that somebody did bow down to it, and therefore it was worshipped, it's Avodah Zarah. But other poskim argue on the Shach, like for instance Avnei Nezer. He says that no, normally you don't need to assume that people worship Avodah Zarah. There's also a ritva like that Chacham Ovadia bring. And Lemaaseh, Chacham Ovadia is posek that unless you know it was worshipped, you don't have to suspect that it is Avodah Zarah. And therefore, when you find such a monument also, unless you know it was worshipped, it's something that people bow down to, you don't have to treat it as Avodah Zarah. So there's 2 things that we mentioned over here. The first thing is that you can't and you're not allowed to go smashing Avodah Zarah that doesn't belong to you. It's not in your land, doesn't belong to you. You just go to a different country and find Avodah Zarah and just start destroying it. That you're not supposed to do. That's vandalism. And secondly, it's not even Avodah Zarah, it's symbolic. It just reminds them of their holiday or their god, but it's only something for zikaron be'alma. That's the lashon that the poskim use. Now, is a goy allowed to build a pesel, a figure of a human? We're not allowed to make such a pesel that has all the limbs of a human, because the Torah says that you're not allowed to pesel. You're not allowed to make such a monument or statue. But what about a goy? Is he allowed? So the Ramoshe Feinstein was asked a question. He was asked about a city that wanted to build such a monument for a minister that helped out the city a lot, and he passed away, and now they want to build something to honor him, and they want everybody to contribute. Also, the Jewish people in town should contribute to it. So they asked Moshe Feinstein, they're allowed to contribute for such a thing. We're not allowed to build such a thing, to put up, are we allowed to help out such a thing? So he says, there's no problem. Why? Because it's not yours, you're not making it, you're just donating money. A goy is permitted to do that because he's not commended on the Isur of Lo Ta'asun Pesel. You're not allowed to make that Pesel. Lo Ta'asun is only for us, not a goy. It's not one of the Sheva Mitzvot Bnei Noach. It's not Avodah Zarah. And therefore, since a goy is permitted to do such a thing, you also allowed to help him out because he's not doing anything bad. You give him money and it doesn't belong to you. You're not related to it. It's just like in Shabbat, the Halacha says that one is allowed to tell a goy, cook your own meat. We're not allowed to tell a goy to cook for herself meat. That's Amira Lakum. We're not allowed to do that. But cook your own meat. It's not my meat. It's your meat. And you can cook it for yourself. That we're allowed to say. Same thing over here. You tell a goy, go make your own monument and do whatever you want. That's permitted. So therefore, a goy is allowed to have such a thing. He's allowed to have such a thing. If he's allowed to have such a thing, definitely we're not supposed to go ahead and start smashing and destroying that monument. Therefore, it's wrong on many, many levels. Besides the fact that we said before, it's also today that anybody that does anything wrong, there's videos and surveillance cameras all over. Even more so when he himself puts it out and takes his own images doing it. It's definitely something that could harm the Jewish people, harm their reputation again, harm us in so many different levels, and definitely should be avoided. Thank you.